guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to do an update to a very popular video that I did last weekend, which was titled, "With the help of a guardian angel, a good husband prevails and sees his cheating wife's life crumble." And guys, that video, like I said, is very popular. So popular that you guys, in the video, the guy had mentioned that he has a part 2 to his story. And I said to you guys, if you want to hear part 2, let him know in the comments section. Well, holy crap. Hundreds of you guys commented, part 2, part 2. So the guy obviously saw this, so he emailed me last night with an update to his story. So I'm doing this thing first thing this morning so you guys can hear this for the lunchtime show. And as a quick recap, guys, that was all about the guy who was reflecting about his past when he was married. And he was married to this one for a few years, and pretty much it seems like from the get-go of their marriage, things weren't going too well. He had to go away a lot for business, so he wasn't around her, and she was working hard on her career, a little too hard, and she was spending all this extra time after work going to bars and drinks with her co-workers and bosses and all that, and they were never around each other. And it was to the point that it was just absurd because she didn't have to be gone that long. And this guy was truly trying to make things work with her, but she just wasn't interested. She lost all interest in sex. She wasn't affectionate at all. She was always making excuses just for this and that. And finally, one thing led to another one day where he tried to make a surprise dinner for her to really try to rekindle things, and she wasn't interested in that either. She wanted to go out with her co-workers and all that. Obviously, he was pissed off, and when she left that night, he followed her. He followed her, and to no surprise, saw her walking out of a bar, making out with some dude, her boss. Followed her to a hotel, and that's where she went. Now, that night, he then went to have a drink, obviously to blow some steam. And at the bar, and he was obviously in a bad place, he met this dude. This random stranger sat next to him and started talking to him because the guy could see he was in trouble. And this was an older guy, and essentially this guy said that he'd been through the same thing when he was younger, blah, blah, blah. And this guy really was like a guardian angel in a sense because he said, he gave him a lot of really good, important wisdom to make sure this guy didn't do anything stupid. And he also said, listen, I got a lot of land nearby out in the country, and I got a trailer that I hardly ever use. And if you want to get out of this marriage, you can come stay there for next to nothing. I got some acres and all that, and you can just get, unwind. And that's what this guy did. He formed a plan. He calmed down, didn't do anything drastic, and he started forming a plan to take all his stuff slowly but surely and move it into that trailer, a nice trailer out in the country by the mountains, until finally the day she went away on business and he moved everything out. And I like to mention, he tried confronting her a few times about obviously what was going on, and she turned it around, made him out to be the bad guy, that he was crazy, so it was over. There was no salvaging this relationship, and of course, she was cheating on him. He then leaves the ring behind a note. And she then bombards him with texts trying to get him to change his mind, twisting it around, making him out to be a bad guy, all this shit. But eventually when she realized she couldn't get anywhere with him, she caved, they got the divorce, and her life went to shit. And now he's doing great, living on his own, saving a lot of money, met a girl he's having a good time with, but not getting too serious. His life is doing really well. Now we're on to part 2 as to what happens next when eventually his ex-wife tracks him down. It's quite good here. In fact, this update, in my opinion, is just as good as the original. So you guys will definitely enjoy this, those of you that watched the first part and were eagerly awaiting part 2. Okay, so it starts off or continues. He says, Dear SSM, I really feel honored that you feature my story about my leaving my cheating wife. I noticed a lot of support from your readers for a follow-up of the situation, so here it is. Bro, you're welcome, and we are all happy to help. And by the way, guys, this guy had originally posted his story on Reddit. A lot of you guys commented that you saw this story a while ago. And, excuse me, in the first email, he acknowledged that he once had put it on Reddit, but he became a follower of this channel, so he wanted to write me personally and add in, obviously, a little more details. So for those of you who thought that this is a story on Reddit, this guy did acknowledge he did do it on Reddit at one point. Okay, he says, since my divorce, my living situation has been great, and I live pretty simply. Since I'm a remote engineer in a technical field, I can work from anywhere and jump on a plane when I'm needed elsewhere. As long as I have a good internet service, which fortunately I do, my intention was to sort myself out and had just contacted a lawyer, but my ex, beat me to it, and we had an uncontested divorce. He's giving a little update. He said, I'd finally gotten past the ex, the affair, the divorce, everything. Life was good. I was dating multiple women, including the girl who called me the mountain man. More on this later. So here I am, Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky, living my solo life, pursuing my purpose. Good. That's what all guys should be doing. That should be the top priority for all men, whether you're married or not. Problem is, when you're married, it gets a lot harder to follow your purpose if you don't have a woman that's on board you trying to follow your purpose. And aside from that, there's husband duties, duties as a father, all that. It's a lot harder. So for you young guys out there that have a lot of dreams and goals and all that, but you got a girlfriend who's aching to get married, if your ambitions are very important to you, just remember what could happen amongst the many other things if you get serious with this girl. Most women will hold guys back from their purpose, okay? Because they want all the attention on them. Now, some women will be very supportive of the guy because there are a small percentage that'll be happy and proud of their guy to do well, not to mention the fact that his success will benefit her. Let's be honest here. But for the most part, women can get in the way of your purpose. So notice now he's on his purpose because he has to deal with a wife. This is until the following reared its ugly head. Nearly a year after my divorce, I live pretty close to a recreational area. I do my share of hanging out there, enjoying all it has to offer, and frequent the local bars, coffee shops, and restaurants. While in town, I bumped into a mutual friend, Stacy, and she mentioned that my wife is still wanting to contact me, beg for my forgiveness, and see if I would consider reconciliation. Reconciliation, my ass. After everything she put him through, no way. I didn't really believe her. Plus, I have no desire to see her or do anything related to talking to her ever again. She wanted to tell me all about the ex's fallout at work, all the sordid details of her post-divorce life, but I told her I wasn't really interested in knowing the details and we parted ways. Good, bro. It's in the past. You're done with her for a reason. You don't need to hear about her life and how it's gone to shit and all that. I mean, sure, that might make you feel good for about 5 minutes, but you don't need that. Move on. When you're clear in your head of her, you don't need her coming back in your life, and you got to think about her. It goes on. However, within a month of talking to her, this happened. I saw my ex in a coffee shop sitting by herself in town. That is no accident. Your so-called friend Stacy blabbed. It's kind of a drive from where she lives, and I couldn't believe she was here. This can't be a coincidence. No such thing. I almost stopped in there, but she was looking down at her phone, so I don't think she saw me. But I think because I have since grown a heavy beard and I'm wearing my hair shoulder length, she probably wouldn't recognize me. My reaction, like before, was to bolt, like I'd just seen Satan himself, and I got out of there quickly and as stealthily as I could. Try Satan's mistress. That's your ex. A friend of mine even suggested that maybe she had gotten a PI to track me down. I truly thought I was untraceable. I don't even have a mailing address, just a P.O. box. Luckily, I was able to leave before she saw me. It's no accident that she found you, man. Your friend or mutual friend blabbed. One way or another, she blabbed. I came back into town the following weekend and went to grab a coffee in the place I usually go to, as well as work on some documents that I need to fill out for work, using their free internet. After finishing up, I left the coffee shop. While I'm walking towards my truck, I hear someone yell, "Paul!" I look across the street and oh shit, there's Kathy, my ex, waving at me. I stood there in shock. Of course she's back. She runs across the street and approaches me and reaches out to me, expecting a hug, and I instinctively hold my arms out with palms out. And she stops. She looks at me really hurt. She then says, "Paul, I have been looking for you." No shit, lady. I heard you moved out here and wanted to see you. Can we talk? No, we can't talk. That's why I've been ignoring you for the last 2 years. I felt like a trapped animal. Guys, I really did. So I relented and said, okay, let's find a table or something and we can talk for a minute. Smack. Bro, you've been through enough shit with this woman. You don't need any more. She asked if I live around here and maybe we can go there, and I just said flat out, no, that's not happening. She follows me down to a bench outside a little shop at the end of the block. She starts by saying how much I've changed and how she loves my new look. How I look so fit. She's good at that, and guys, she looked hot. She had on these little white shorts and a tank top and her hair in a ponytail like I used to like. My radar was on high alert and I could tell she was really turning on the sex appeal. Of course she's going to make herself look the best she can physically, because that's what ropes us in. We're visual creatures. We're attracted to what we see. And when a pretty girl walks by, boom, our eyes are on her, okay? And so she does exactly She was just playing the odds that she might run into you in town. She probably was strolling up and down the street in her little shorts, back and forth, up and down, doing laps around town, hoping that she might run into you. And so much for the mountain man look, because you couldn't hide that. You couldn't hide that. She saw you. I'm picturing you with the long hair and the long beard, looking like Wolverine. That movie when Wolverine went to Japan, like The Wolverine or whatever the hell it's called. And in the beginning, he's in Alaska living out in the wilderness. And he'd come into town on occasion to get supplies. And his hair is really long and the long beard. That's what I'm picturing here. I had to really rein myself in here and see where this was going. She starts out by apologizing about the whole affair. She says karma really hit her hard and I left. And she said that me ghosting her really did a number on her and it really emotionally crippled her. She had to go into therapy to deal with everything. I had to suppress a grin. Well, we're all grinning at this moment, dude. As a result of her actions, the company learned of her affair and basically made things so unpleasant that she eventually quit. Her affair partner, who had a fiancé at the time, got reprimanded and he was moved to another position within the company. He blamed her for him having to move, and she retaliated by telling his fiancé everything, which resulted in them breaking up. This is, again, according to her. In the story, she couldn't get this guy back, the guy telling the story, and things didn't work out with her and the affair partner, so she went scorched earth and, of course, told his fiancé about it, because it's like, if I'm going to be miserable, everybody's going to be miserable. She lowered her head a little and started crying. Of course. I was just waiting for this. I just sat there looking around, not having anything to say. I felt like the guy at a funeral, looking at the bereaved widow at a loss of what to say. She straightened up and stared at me for a bit. I asked what she wanted from me. She wanted to tell me that she never intended to start the affair. Oh, for goodness sake. That she felt like she was drawn into by all the politics and positioning in the company and thought the AP would really manipulate her and his charisma and power within the company. She thought she was using him as much as he was using her. Stop blaming him or other people for what you did, lady. Okay, that's what was going on through the whole thing. The blame game. Blame, blame, blame. And she was even blaming this guy when he was trying to confront her initially before he finally left her. Why are you giving this woman the time of day? Remember what she did to you? All that? You tried to make it work, and then she was doing this all behind the scenes, and still made you have to be the bad guy amongst all her actions. Don't worry, guys, we have a good ending here, but I would not be talking to her. Translation, in my opinion, she was trying to leverage SEX with getting promoted to VP. She was going to come clean with me, especially after I accused her of having an affair. She just didn't know how to break it to me. She hated herself during that time, and after the work drifted was her attempt to mediate the guilt. That right after I left her. She felt so foolish, so alone, like her heart just imploded with loss. Oh, poor baby. She felt that since I wouldn't contact her or talk to her, that she had to find me and see if she could make things right for us if we could start over again. Is she off her freaking meds? Start over again after all that? Does she think this guy's desperate? She knows we are divorced, but maybe we can have a clean slate. Not a chance in hell. Not for all the tea in China. Not for all the burritos in Mexico. Not for all the coffee in Colombia. Not happening. I just stared at her. I let her have it. I'm paraphrasing the conversation, but here it is. He says to her, "You forget the part where you betrayed your faithful husband. I'm to forgive everything you did to ruin our marriage? I told you before, if you cheat on me, we were through. Do you remember that?" She says, "Yes, but." I tell her, hold on. What was all the lying and deception? Do you think I can trust you? Are you out of your effing mind? You don't get do-overs or rewrite history. There is no forgiveness. There's no reboot of this relationship. Good, brother. I was a little worried for a second when you were sitting there talking to her. You killed it. You destroyed what we had the minute you stepped out on me. How stupid do you think I am? I followed you one night and saw you get into a hotel together with that a-hole. Do you know that? She started to sob and says, "You saw me?" Oh God, I'm sorry, Paul. I then realized I had been raising my voice and people were starting to notice. I forced myself to cool down. She grabbed my arm. She started to cry my shoulder a little before I nudged her away. She looked at me. "I deserve all this. I know I do. Can you at least tell me take me to dinner or something? I don't want to leave." I want to talk more. I want to make sure we have everything out in the open. I need time with you that we didn't get before. Please, Paul. I know you may not want to hear this, but I love you so much. She's only doing this because she's desperate. I didn't know how much I loved you until you left me and broke us. I can't forgive myself. I don't want to forgive myself until the day I die. Oh, for goodness sake. How many times did she rehearse this in front of a mirror? She started hyperventilating and sobbing so bad that I pulled her up and hugged her. I know. I think I didn't want someone to accuse me of doing something to her at that time. Okay, I get it. I felt that was the only thing I could do to maybe calm her down. I started walking with her and then found a nice quiet path to walk on, and things settled down a bit. I then asked her how she found me and did she hire a private investigator or something. She laughed a little and said no, she thought about it though. She ran into Stacy, what I tell you, that friend, a couple weeks ago, and she asked how things were going. Stacy let it slip that she saw me. Bullshit. This so-called friend did not let it slip out. Those things just don't slip out. She knew exactly what she was doing. If this is indeed the truth, because this is your lying, cheating ex who's telling this story here. Stacy didn't want to tell because I told her not to, but she wouldn't let her go until she did. But all she really knew was that she saw me here in town and that I lived somewhere in the vicinity. So she started coming here on her days off to see if she could find me. Like I said, walking up and down the street, doing laps in her tiny little white shorts just to hopefully run into you. So we did go to dinner. Smack. Why? Why, brother? We found a nice little place with a patio. I made sure we didn't drink anything. I didn't want any excuse for her to soften me up or claim that she was too drunk to drive back. We actually had a calm conversation. Afterwards, I walked her to her car. She wanted to stay and pressed me hard on it, and I wouldn't relent. She hadn't been with anybody else since I left, supposedly, and swore up and down that I was the only one she wanted. If this guy was the only one she wanted, she wouldn't have done what she did. End of freaking story. And I might add, when this guy was making effort to try to fix what was broken, to start spending time together and all that, she wasn't interested. So I don't want to hear this BS about blaming her bosses and blaming her job and all that, and you're the only one I want. She wanted to show me how much she loved me. You want to show how much you love me? You can respect the fact that I'm done, respect my wishes, and walk away and never contact me again. That is how you can demonstrate how much you love me. But obviously, your self-interest is more important to you. She asked me if I was seeing anyone else, and I told her it's none of her concern. She begged to see me, but I was non-committal. I gave her my new email address, but that was it. Smack. Why? By you by you talking to her, then going to have dinner with her, and then giving her your email address is giving her hope, because then she'll just bug you incessantly with emails until she tries to get you to cave. Now, I know how this goes, guys. I know how this story ends, and it's good. Don't get too upset, you guys in the comment section, like, oh shit, it's over now. Don't worry, there's hope. But he should have given the email address. Now, maybe he did this just to get her to go the hell away. I don't know, but anyhow, I gave her the email address. She wanted my phone number, but I told her no. You'll just blow it up with texts and calls. She cried about that one. Of course, we're back to the waterworks. She said she would be back in town next weekend and wanted to see me. I didn't say anything to that. She said she will email me and tell me all the details of when and where. Before she left, I asked her point blank if she would forgive me if I had done the cheating. She sat there thinking and said yes, she would in time, but only if we saw a marriage counselor. I thought about her saying this later, and it made me laugh so hard. There was no way she would ever forgive me for cheating on her. She then shook my hands in hers, looked me in the eye, and said something that really surprised me. She said, "God damn it, Paul, I will always love you and will do anything to prove it." Why is she dissing the Lord for this guy? So I ended the conversation saying, okay, maybe I would consider it in 5 to 10 years from now. She said that if that's what it takes, she would wait. Please. At that, she left. I have to admit, she had balls to come find me, but there is no way in hell I would take her back. Right now, I can't even see her as a friend with benefits. She might have been totally honest with me, but the level of manipulation is strong with this one. I went home and had a nice long run and a few beers, and it felt good to be in a good place now. So why ruin it? He goes on, he says, as it turns out, her intention in finding me was indeed to reconcile and restart our life together. To those that wrote to me, predicting that I would be the typical blue pill fool and forgive her and fall back in with her, you'll be sorely disappointed. She did write me a long email this past weekend, professing her love and regret for the whole affair once again. I knew she'd write you real quick. She wanted to come back out and spend the weekend with me. My response to all this was to shut her down. I've been perfectly content to live the solo life for now, living in my remote location and keep my situation as uncomplicated as possible. I've enjoyed the company of several women and friends, and at 32 years old, feel there is no hurry in changing things up. Bro, no hurry. You're 32. You got your whole freaking life ahead of you. I'm 44. I'd love to be 32 again and have the knowledge I have right now back into my younger self. Oh my God. No rush. Enjoy yourself. You're still healing. You ain't totally healed yet at this point, but you're healing. You're doing well. I have my own self-determination roadmap, and I intend to follow it more now. So in answering her email, and he says, I refused to still give her my phone number, I laid all out. I told her no. I do not have any intention in reconciling with her. She made her bed, and I no longer trust her, nor do I know her any longer. I wish her the best and will consider her a possible friend maybe someday. In the future, yet to be determined. My vagueness really frustrated her. I'm willing to bet you probably said the whole friend thing just to shut her up. So she replied with something very telling. She was, of course, thoroughly disappointed in my response, but she also informed me that she had accepted a job offer several states away, and her real intention all along was for me to come with her. After all that, you're going to pick up and leave this serene, beautiful place where you're rebuilding, and to pick up and live with her on her terms. How well does that always work out in the stories I have, guys, when guys pick up and leave to move with a woman on her terms, on her turf? Not very well. Let's just say in a parallel universe, this guy actually reconciled with her, which he doesn't, and he shouldn't, she'd come to him. End of story. She knows my job is remote, and I can live anywhere I choose, and she thought I would consider coming with her, and in exchange, we'd have a brand new start in a brand new location. Again, she offered freaking meds. She had little time before she would be leaving. I wanted to see me in person, and put the hard sell on me. Fortunately for me, I had to leave her business for a week, and I will not be meeting with her, so our time is up. Thank God. For a while, she continued to email me almost every day. What'd I tell you? You gave her that email address, she's going to email you every day. I finally had enough of her emails. I wrote to her that I'm done with her and do not want anything to do with her ever again. No offense, but it was time to tell her to go find herself someone else who cares. I won't go into too much detail, but I figured if I pissed her off enough, she'd leave me be. I think I accomplished that. Since then, I have not heard a peep from her. I also blocked her email address and will be closing down my email account if I hear from her one more time. Good. Glad she's left you alone. Thank the Lord. I also contacted her mother and gave her the rundown of what her daughter was up to. She told me that her daughter had told her how she longed to reconcile with me and start a family. We both agreed that the betrayal was unforgivable. She is a sensible woman and said that she would make sure she left me alone, and she would insist that she'd go back to a therapist if she continued to bother me. It's been 6 months of no contact, so I think it's over. Dude, that's good. That's great that her mom actually recognized her daughter was a shithead. Thank the Lord, because usually it's the moms that side with the daughters. As for the girl I met in my first post, hereto named me Mountain Man, hereto named Mountain Girl, she is still going to school back east, so we had fun for part of the summer. She really helped me get my mojo back. She wanted to continue with a long-distance relationship, but I put a stop to that. Good. Don't do that. You do not need, after all you went through, to jump right into another relationship, let alone a long-distance relationship, which they pretty much don't ever work, or there's a lot of turmoil involved. You do not need that shit in your life. There's other women. We did see each other over winter break and had a blast. Again, she wanted to make things serious after she graduated in the spring. But she'd also been accepted into a very competitive one-year internship program that starts after she graduates, and it's nowhere near where I live. I'm not about to stand her way with that when I'm not even sure what I want a relationship with anyone anymore. And let me tell you, she is a beautiful, smart, energetic girl, and if I was younger with less complications and without the knowledge on how relationships work, I probably would have found a way to make it work. Most guys would. But you know what? Okay, she's really cool, and she came along just like Ray. This chick came along right at a time that you're rebuilding and healing and helped you out, build your mojo back, like you said. Again, it's amazing how the universe works. But it doesn't mean you got to get into a relationship with her and drop all this, you know? And besides, there are billions of women on the planet. And of those billions of women, there are probably millions that you can be attracted to and have a good time with, and when you're ready. So, when you're ready, because obviously you're a relationship guy, even though you said, I don't think I'll ever do a relationship again, I think you probably will. It could take 10 years. And even then, I can see you definitely not getting married. You won't put them on a pedestal. You won't kiss her ass. But when that time comes, you'll find somebody else. But you'll have all this knowledge and wisdom. Or you won't. You can do whatever the hell you want. It's your life, man. You're free. You're a free man with all this knowledge and wisdom. We parted on a good note. She understands we have a lot of things going in different directions right now. I'm working on my purpose and she's working on hers. It's not an unhappy situation whatsoever. It's just different. I'm extremely content right now and I don't want to mess anything up. Good. Keep doing what you're doing. I've got a lot on my plate and a lot of interesting things coming up. So I'm looking forward to seeing where life takes me. I've also been able to save a ton of money by not being married and have no rent or mortgage or other expenses. It makes me wonder where all the money goes. I'll tell you where it goes. A bigger house that you don't need because the wife wanted it. Fancier cars than you need because the wife wants it. Expensive schools for the kids because the wife wants it. Multiple kids because a lot of times the wife wants it. Her fancy vacations to show off to her friends on Instagram and Facebook because the wife wants it. The clothes and the shoes and the handbags that the guys spend on their wives because the wife wants it. Need I go on? Most guys, and I'm saying most here, can live pretty frugal and be happy and put a lot of money away and invest it in areas they feel comfortable and watch that wealth grow. I've known some guys that are complete boneheads with money that are shopaholics, but they got something in them that they need. It's like gamblers, that high gamblers get when they go to the blackjack table or to the racetrack. These guys have the same thing with spending money, and it ain't healthy. But for the most part, guys are pretty good in terms of not pissing away their money on bullshit. On the other hand, most women are terrible with money, or at least big spenders. Anyhow, yeah, it goes quick. I've been working on a deal with Ray to convince him to sell off a few acres to me. He dabbles in real estate as well, and we have a couple things in the works together. He is a rock-solid guy and knows how to find lucrative properties. I'd also like to build an off-grid cabin at some point. I'm also working out with a very competitive running group in the area, and we've met some extremely attractive and athletic women as well. Great, bro. I was hoping to hear about Ray, and I'm not surprised you asked to work an ideal to buy some acres from him in that property because he has a lot of land. That's cool. This guy, he's awesome. I'm glad you guys are still friends, and this is a friend for life. One last thing. Stacy contacted me and apologized for the whole thing about spilling the beans about my location to the ex. It wasn't an accident. I don't buy that for a second. However, she wants to make it up to me and take me out for dinner and drinks next time she's in town. She probably wants you now. Now all the girls are after you. She's actually a decent friend, so I agreed. I don't want to go that far. I'm convinced she said it was an accident. It slipped out, unless she's naturally a ditz. She also thought I would like to hear that my ex has a new man in her life. I almost dropped the phone. I told her thank you for letting me know. I went outside the trailer and joyfully yelled hallelujah at the top of my lungs. So thanks SSM for sharing my story. I know my story seems unreal, but believe me, I have the healing scars to prove it. To all my bros out there, take SSM's advice. Stay strong, stay single, and stay on your purpose. Thanks SSM, Paul. Well, Paul, I know that's not your real name. Great story. That is awesome. Part 2 is just as good as part 1. And longer, I might add. So thank you to all you guys who stayed here and listened to this 29-minute video here. I appreciate it. But anyhow, keep working on your purpose. There's no rush. Keep enjoying your life as it is and take it as it goes. End of freaking story here. And I'm glad your ex found somebody else. If she's good looking, there's no problem she's going to find somebody else. And she can be a big pain in the ass to that guy's life. And then that guy will probably find my channel one day and he'll hear this video and be like, this sounds a lot like my ex-wife. And then I'll help him out too. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think about this. And if you guys want to hear an update how his life is doing down the road, let him know in the comments section. This is what got him to write this part 2 for you guys. Let him know if you want to hear a part 3, how he's doing down the road. And if down the road he has anything interesting to share or whatever, I'm sure he'll update us. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.